And welcome to the Protocol 4 podcast, guys. And my name's Grant, as you know. But we have a very special guest today. It is occasional Robo Johnny. Sometimes they shift in and out of a dimensional vortex, or it's an anomaly. So occasionally Johnny becomes Robo Johnny during this podcast.
They may or may not be happening.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
been,
so
it's
it's just
been happening.
Schrodinger's Johnny then.
Yeah, so it might just be Johnny, but the dimensional barriers have been weakened in his house. So you could be hearing Robo Johnny.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's regular Johnny right there. If you hear it where it's kind of robotic, that's Robo Johnny. He won't tell you, though, because he's trying to keep it on the down low that he's Robo Johnny, but you'll know. Because you guys,
I
you
like
guys
how
know.
this is becoming, our paranormal episode of Protocol 4.
Yeah,
I'm into this.
It's part of
It's like a very elaborate setup here.
Yeah, it's part of the overarching plot. But yeah, and we got, of course, William.
Of course, I'm always going to be here, even when I'm on vacation.
Yep, that's the commitment right there, guys. And we got Logan.
Hey, what up? What up, guys? The finale of Twin Peaks aired tonight. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
I can't talk about it, so that's all I'm
Yeah.
going to say.
We're not talking about Twin Peaks.
No,
unless
we're not.
We talk about the delicious food at Crackle Barrel, one of our new associates.
One of our sponsors.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, we're sponsored by Crackle Barrel.
And
Finally.
Popeyes. But I don't know, are Popeyes and Cracker Barrel kind of competing? I don't know.
Love that chicken, guys.
The Cracker Barrel's like a million times better than Popeye.
All right. Well, I mean, one's a restaurant, the other one's a fast food place. But
Yeah.
Like, how are
Well,
we
like,
competing? What's
Don't bring that garbage in.
But good job losing us one of our sponsors, though, Johnny. I was trying to, to toe
That
the
wasn't Johnny, that was
line
Robo
there.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Like, Robo Johnny's like masquerading as Johnny. He's
Yeah.
going to slowly destroy this podcast.
Yeah, Robo Johnny is evil, by the way. So when
One
he does
step at a
evil
time.
things, yeah. So, this week's gonna be a bit of a shorter episode. Not too much news coming out. So I don't know. We'll just hop right into it. And we got a Miiverse is going to be closing
Good night,
November
sweet
8th.
friends.
There was Miiverse, the thing I stopped caring about when I realized they wouldn't allow you to engage in Mii Wars around the Wii days. I made a whole army of Miis in anticipation for the Great World Mii War, and it never happened.
Oh my god.
And I stopped that, but it's obviously closer to the heart for some of our other audience and some of the other people here. Both.
I mean, what you could have done was that in Smash Wii U, you could have just went multi-man melee with your Mii's, and they would all show up.
Yeah, you could.
You against your own Mii's.
That was cool.
Weren't they
No,
like?
actually, it was not cool at all.
Yeah, I recall Johnny really hating that Mii's were in the game.
I just hated every other mode that wasn't regular Smash.
No, I hated the bad modes. Like, putting these in the game was like almost the equivalent of putting bad box art Mega Man in freaking Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
It kind of was.
Which was literally like they're like, oh man, we have this amazing joke, right? And then they put it, like, they take development time to put this joke in the game. People think it's funny for about 1 hour, and then no one ever touches it again.
Yeah, when you think about it, someone should have went, wait a second. We're just spending a lot of time on this one joke. Like, how do you do that?
That took money, that took time, that took people with talent, right? To just put this shitty joke in the game, and then nobody cares. Nobody's playing bad box art Mega Man. Nobody's using these.
Well, I mean, to be fair, nobody's playing Street Fighter Cross Tekken. That might have something.
Well,
to do
sure, but like the thing is, nobody did. Like, when they played it, they didn't use it, right? Because it was a waste of time.
Well,
Like, consider it like this. Think of how much time you think making a character might take, and realize that's the amount of time Bad Box Art Mega Man took up.
But, like,
It's kind of scary.
Didn't they use Bad Box Art Mega Man when you had that broken glitch with him where you could make him fly?
Well, yeah, they did, but that was just because it was a broken glitch. So people used that that's what made it worse. So, because like the only reason anyone played him is because he was a guaranteed win. So like,
And
that
then you
was
play
great.
Relento if you want to, use the time saw. If you want to use the world on your own console and break it.
But yeah.
Mii's are a bad idea all around.
Right, but Miiverse was not just Mii's.
It was a
You
whole
could
verse.
post screenshots on the Miiverse instead of using your Twitter or Facebook, like what happened to my Twitter for a while because I keep taking screenshots in Breath of the Wild.
So so like it is actually kind of confirmed. It seems kind of weird for Nintendo to say, but like they did actually confirm that Miiverse is ending because like social media is already a thing.
But it's been already a thing for years.
Yeah, I know. And Nintendo, I guess.
Yeah, this is like
Nintendo's
like
wait.
the Pokemon Company did the same stupid bullshit with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. They're like, we don't want to put the Battle Frontier in because people have their cell phones, they have social media. Why do they want to play more Pokemon? You gotta
Wait,
play
what?
just the main game of Pokemon, not this post game of Pokemon.
What the hell?
Nintendo,
That's a lie. We're gonna cut out all the bonus content in the game because people are too busy on their phones. We don't have time for the game. Like, come on.
fucking
People can
assholes on their
only have
Facebook.
enough time for video games, not all the time, just
Yeah.
enough.
But
We don't
like,
want to take you away from social media.
and Nintendo's like, there's this. Sorry guys, we gotta cut Miiverse. There's this new upstart called Facebook taking all our traffic. Nobody saw it coming. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. Blame the market, the free market, the unknown future of the free market.
Facebook was both the first and last surprise.
So yeah, Miiverse though, I did kind of like it in its own way. I think there are probably younger people who probably did use it pretty frequently. Just kind of let me check my Miiverse, what my Miiverse communities are up to today, what they're posting. But I did just find it kind of a fun thing to do. You know, I liked when it was integrated in a way where you didn't have to choose to look at it, and it would kind of one of the best instances were in Super Mario Maker and Super Mario 3D World, which both kind of have the same thing where in Super Mario 3D World it was before a level, and Super Mario Maker was after a level. You would be able to see people's Miiverse comments scrolling by when you played the level, which was nice. In 3D World, they also kind of displayed Miiverse comments on the main map, so you would just see a me standing there, and he would go like, "Hey, it's Captain." They would just have some drawing Captain Toad, and it'd be like, "All right, that's kind of whatever. Like that's nice." So that was a good use of Miiverse. Miiverse, there was nothing too huge that would pull me into Miiverse of being like, I just want to check it. I would make posts in it. It would be cool. People gave my post the yeah, which is like the like. But I guess there was nothing that really interested me too much about it in itself. So I will miss
like
it.
how in Splatoon, for example, Miiverse posts will be shown off in the plaza and such, and
Yeah.
in Smash they had one specific stage called Miiverse where you see posts that I never got to see because I had the 3DS version at the time. And
Yeah, that's a shame.
even though I can get the Wii U version, I don't see a point because it's like, oh, I can play with the two people I know who have Wii U Smash. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but no, I mean that was a cool stage, and now a lot of those features will kind of be, they're still going to exist, but now the Miiverse stage is just going to display like default Miiverse posts. And
there's one game by Nintendo called Mario and Donkey Kong Tipping Stars that can't get 100% completion because no Miiverse stuff. That's fun.
Good night, sweet Prince Miiverse.
Yeah, that's what I said when you announced the topic.
Yeah, and I was
So long,
I was bringing it full circle. Yeah. Jesus.
No, I think you were hoping that the listeners forgot so that you could take the credit, but that's what I think.
But but on to completely different subject. We got actually a Johnny topic this time.
Oh yeah, it's my topic.
Yeah.
Oh, so excited.
He owns this topic.
Yeah.
This particular topic.
Okay, well,
when you see this topic in a wall, you know whose show this is.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. Well, yeah. So I guess like this past week, a new Street Fighter character, Minot, came out. And like she looks pretty cool. She was announced actually last week, like on Sunday, I think, and she came out two days later, which is pretty surprising because normally they don't do that. So I guess we just wanted to touch on this character here. Like she looks very interesting. She has like this, and unlike most Street Fighter characters that like fight with their bare hands, she has an orb that she can manipulate like separate from herself.
It's like Viola and Soul Calibur, except she doesn't have the hand.
Literally like Viola from Soul Calibur. And she can create a lot of like interesting pressure and setups using that. And yeah, so like she came out. I tried her out a little bit, and yeah, she seems interesting. I'm a little frustrated because she seems a bit more limited than I imagined, like before playing her. Street Fighter V seems to have this thing where it wants to purposely limit characters. Like she only has like 2 special moves.
Yeah, I hate that about
And-
Street Fighter V, where characters are made in like the Capcom way, where they're like, no, you just want to do this one thing. We won't let you decide on your own what you want to do now. Let us play the game for you.
It's a little strange in that, like the way her moveset works is she generally wants to poke at you when she has the orb, and then she like when she gets you in a good spot, she throws out the orb, and then she like pulls it back to like kind of pressure you and continue a combo because the orb hits you on the way back. But the problem with that is that it's hard to even like set up the orb in the first place because she only has one cancelable normal that has like a decent range. Like most of her long range normals aren't cancelable, and she only has one special move that she can cancel them into anyway. So it just kind of seems like it's literally just poke, and then if you hit a down medium punch, then you can throw the orb out, and that's it. And
It's like
then,
Vega with an orb on it. Like this is what it reminds me of, like Vega with orb.
Yeah, like kind of. Like I sort of wish she was more like Viola, and that she had like a bunch of moves that could throw out the orb instead of just having literally one move and like one way to do that move. But either way,
That'd be cool if she can like keep throwing the orb off of different specials. But you know.
Yeah.
Wait, what's her
that
V skill again? The warp throw?
Oh well, no, it's like a reflect. Like she reflects projectiles.
Oh.
But it actually has a hitbox. Like that's the excuse for them only giving her 2 special moves. It's like her special moves are like an anti-air throw and then like the orb toss. But
so she has Anki-Ho from Vampire Savior.
I guess. But since she has like this.
Gong. That's.
Yeah, well, sort of. Like it doesn't move, but anyway, so she has like like a projectile reflect, but it also hits you. And that's how she ends combos most of the time. But then she has like very short range, so like you have to like pull them in with the orb to even combo into it most of the time. Otherwise, it won't hit. So it's just like very limited. You have to be very precise, and like that's kind of annoying. But she's still one of the more interesting Street Fighter V characters right now. She has a lot of options. To her because she's limited, but she still has more options than most characters.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, I don't really know why you're saying like, oh, like Street Fighter V characters are limited because Street Fighter characters in general have always been, very limited because that's their whole idea.
Hey, listen, I was in a third strike tournament a couple of weeks ago, and guess what? Chun-Li's great because like her options are just her normals, and then if you already need to punish them, you do crouching me kick it to super lightning. Like
I mean she's still limited. It's just her options are stupid. Like
Well, no, that's like if you look at like a game like Third Strike, like that gave you a lot of options. Like the characters were somewhat limited, but Parry added like a lot of functionality to many of these options. But Street Fighter V took a lot of that away. Like it makes most of these options not relevant or not as strong. And it's just kind of lame because Minata has a very interesting design, but then I feel like she just feels limited, like a character like Colleen, for example, or a character like
that? It's just Colleen.
Yeah, Colleen.
That's kind of boring. Like, why not just spell it Colleen?
Logan, calm down, God.
No,
what is wrong with you?
I'm calm. It's just kind of like.
That's not calm. You don't just come out of nowhere, out the woodwork. It is because
it's not.
The first name sounds stupid. It looks stupid.
I'm calm. I'm just saying, why spell it in a unique way if it's just going to be pronounced the same way?
Because she's Russian, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why. Because
okay, is that a real name?
Yeah,
She was going under some other name. I forgot her other name, but
I forgot too.
But yeah, Colleen's her.
But yeah, I've seen some stuff with I call her Mentat. That's for some reason that's how I always read her name.
Okay. I know what that's from.
Yeah, but I've seen some stuff with her. Her orbs thing seem kind of like she just always had Rose's Ultra from Street Fighter 4 on at all times.
You mean her V trick?
Yeah, is that where they're surrounding her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but it also acts nothing like Rose's super.
I saw orbs surrounding her. That's what I saw.
But that doesn't work like it. So
may I make one more point before we talk more about Minot for a sec?
Sure.
Colleen's alternating with Helen, and her birthday's not Valentine's Day apparently. So.
Hey.
There you go. But yeah, I didn't see too much of her because I don't really care about Street Fighter V anymore. I don't really feel like there's any saving the game. And it's certainly not, even if, Mentat was a very interesting character, it still wouldn't save the game for me. But yeah,
This how you play Street Fighter 5, you just play Balrog and realize that his V trigger does 70% damage, and it's dumb.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's that. It's funny is I haven't had Street Fighter V installed on my system since before Balrog was in the game. I think like the latest character I had when it was installed was Guile. Actually, I think I might have uninstalled it relatively soon after he came out. But but yeah, I mean that's kind of always been my problem with Street Fighters. They've always had like this just very very limited idea of character design, and like it makes it so that the characters aren't very interesting to play, and I don't really find the neutral or really anything about the game interesting due to that because the characters
Honestly,
don't
I
have
find the
interesting
neutral
options.
and at least the Street Fighter I play kind of cool, and it's really unfortunate that 5 makes everyone's normal super tiny because I like the idea of like poking at someone until you get into the range where you can do some significant damage because it shows, hey, I'm being rewarded for being patient and working my way in.
Well, that's the thing.
And for
Like,
5,
that's how Minot works. That makes her like actually interesting compared to the rest of the cast. Because when she has the orb, she actually had like real normals that like go across the screen and hit people and have range and don't suck. But like the problem with those normals is that they're only one hit. Like you can't cancel into anything and you can't get anything off of it. You just get this one hit and then.
Wait, so it's like you poke and then when you actually do feel like you can get in, you throw the orb. Like you throw the orb, then attack.
Yeah, but well, it's pretty much like you keep poking, and like if you get the chance to do a down medium punch, which is like her only long range cancelable normal, or if you just throw out the orb, then now you get orb stuff. But until then, you just poke. So like if they land a hit on you, you're done. And she has like no defensive options. You have to like completely outplay them on the footsie game if you want to play that kind of style, which I like, but I also don't like the fact that she can be demolished like instantly. And I know why she has to be demolished instantly because when she's on offense, like when she gets in on you, then she's really good. But like in terms of the neutral, I think she has the most interesting neutral. But if she ever loses it once, it's done, which I think is really dumb. Because she has to win it like a million times to beat you.
Well, yeah, it's those momentum based characters that kind of.
Well, that's like the whole thing with Street Fighter V.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. That's been like a relatively common thing I feel like in fighting games. Period. Recently, is momentum-based characters.
Well, recently well, like I said, like it comes down to like this thing that I mentioned before, where they just love like designing characters. Like the designers are like, oh, we're making a character, so we got him, and like the point is for them to do this. Like they're like, oh, this is a rushdown character, like this is a setup character. Let's give them like a million tools to help them do that. But like what people like what helps them do that is the player. The player is the one doing that. So you don't need to give them a million tools to facilitate that because like the players will already optimize their bad tools to be as good as possible. Give them like cool stuff, but it doesn't necessarily need to be all focused on accomplishing like one specific task.
Like I've been playing a lot of Vampire Saver lately, which is a pretty old Capcom fighting game for the '90s, and one thing that's cool about it is that it's like, hey, we'll just give characters stuff. Like, for example, Shinko, one of her supers, which is probably the best super in the game, is where she has a move that's an overhead. It knocks people down, and it summons spiky balls, which makes for a mix-up. And the way you like use it is you hit light kick, heavy kick, medium punch twice, then up to do it. It's a weird motion. And so he's kind of funny. It's just like Capcom's just like, hey, let's have this thing. Let's give it this emoji because why not? And that's it. Or he has someone like Morgan, who's one of her supers that she'll like move back across the screen and then she'll come up from behind the opponent and kick them. And because Vampire Saver does super flashes, the only way to know when she's doing is that you either have to see her moving back or you hear her yell turn because that's the move's name, Valkyrie turn. Unique, and the characters just have like this stuff, and it's up to the player to figure, okay, this is what I'm going to do with these tools.
Yeah, like that's a very strange move because it's like super telegraphed. Like you can always see it coming because it's really slow, but then she's invincible for the whole thing.
Vampire Saver. Unless I'm
Oh
using.
yeah. I think it is fast in that one, but it's slow and Tatsunoko versus Capcom. But in that one they made it bad, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, in Vampire Savior, it's completely invincible, so you can use it to get out of certain setups and stuff. So like that's not a move that helps Morrigan run her game plan to like an obscene degree. It's just here's a cool thing that we decided to give her. You know, like it's not going to make her broken or anything.
But I feel like
It's just going to be like.
one of the best, I guess, examples for me is that's largely why I loved MK9 or Mortal Kombat 9 so much, because that was very much so the design philosophy they had, because like it was kind of designed for competitive play but still not really. It was probably like the last fighting game that wasn't really designed with that much with competitive gameplay in mind. I feel like it was mostly after the fact it came out when they started caring about that. So you got a lot of characters who had like really just like kind of random move sets, and I felt that made overall more interesting characters. And then, as that came on, Injustice was like definitely designed for competitive gameplay, and the characters were very much so focused on certain things. And then they're like, oh, okay, so we want this character to be good at this, so then they gave him a move that's really good at that. Like they're like, oh, we want Zod to be really, really good at zoning, so now he just has like this ball that he can send out, like a slow moving ball on top of a phantom that tracks the guy and can grab the guy if he ever moves, and like stuff like that. And then MKX was like even more of that, where it was just like, oh, like we want characters to be good at mix-ups, so we give them unseeable mix-ups that are plus on block and stuff, which obviously these are extremes, but I feel like these extremes kind of paint that change in design philosophy overall, like kind of more clearly.
Yeah, like it becomes a problem when you start designing like everything that the character can do around this one concept, because then like they have a million ways to do one thing that's really strong.
Yeah, and it's also
It's kind of like Street Fighter 5, where Capcom really wants the game to be offensive, so they bent the game over backwards to do this one thing they really want. So most of the cast have these really stubby normals, and you got characters who literally can't have their moves do anything you want. Yeah, I keep drawing on like the Akuma thing because that's like one of my favorite examples. But like when you use Akuma in Street Fighter 5, you can only use air fireballs after a forward jump. That's just a forward jump. Why? Because Capcom wants you to just do it that way. That's just the Capcom way.
Well, yeah, because it's like like the stubby normals and like these limited options, like they force people to go in, and like you can't play neutral in that game because like if you just hit them with a normal, it's like okay, do like 5%. If you go in, you can get a giant combo, but it does like 40%. Especially with recent characters like Abigail and Minot, they have setups that can do like 50% of your health and then like 90% stun. So they do that, and then they hit you with anything, you lose the match.
Didn't Punko learn like a 70% Abigail combo? Like I know that was circulating.
Punko doesn't play Abigail, but
I think it was still Punko though. I think he was playing like casual matches.
I mean, there are like 90% Abigail combos, and Abigail can kill you if you with one reset like very easily. That's like extremely realistic.
Great.
Yeah, like it's kind of dumb. But the good news is Super Street Fighter 5 is going to come out, and then that'll save the day. Well, we don't know yet, but there's been like a ton of like leaks from like data mining and stuff that suggest that they're going to do like major system changes, like a new arcade mode, new like moves and V triggers and stuff for every character. Like whatever there's like give me some other mode where like you fight like non-playable characters, like the dolls and stuff. So there's like a lot of like pretty much guaranteed information. It says Super Street Fighter 5 is going to be like an update probably next year.
But
so wait, you said it's not going to be a full game, it's just going to be an update.
Well, yeah, Super Street Fighter. Well, I mean, Capcom has said like they're not going to sell you another disc. They're just going to be all DLC.
Yeah, I thought I heard that. That's cool.
Yeah, so like technically, well, I mean, unless they completely decide to screw everyone over, it would just be like for the season 3 of the game, they patched the game to be Super Street Fighter 5 and it has a ton of new modes and stuff.
Now, we should point out that this is the company that literally said there would not be an Ultra Street Fighter 4, and then there literally was Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Well, they say a lot of things, but in theory, I mean, since we have the data on this version of the game, I assume it's going to be a patch, not a brand new disc. That wouldn't make any sense.
But the real funny thing is you keep saying that this is going to solve all the problems. You've said that for every single like major overhaul.
No, but
of
this
the game.
time, this
This
time,
time for sure.
Capcom's like, we learned our lessons, guys. We know that
You
what
see,
the people really
Capcom's
want.
Patrick, and we're the SpongeBob, where Capcom really is gonna give us, is gonna raise our fighting game baby, and they'll do it eventually, maybe. They'll change the diaper of this game, maybe. Who knows?
I mean, at least I can give them that. I do feel Manon is a step in the right direction. Like she actually has neutral that's like fun and interesting. Like she has big normals and like she can like play
And
footsie.
here's the thing for
like,
the casual crowd: Minot is better to look at than freaking Abigail.
she's also way better to look at. Like it's actually kind of crazy because there's been like a picture going around of her on the internet, which it's literally just a character select screen with her and Ken, and like she looks so much better than Ken. It's like they're from completely different games. Like it's very strange. Like, so I'm hoping that like the Capcom like looks at this. They're like, okay, we have a character, like because everyone loves Minot too. So like, we have a character, people like her. Her gameplay is more neutral based. I mean, she still has like a ton of setups and she can do like a ton of damage with the orbs, but it's mostly neutral. It's mostly like it's interesting. It's like It's mostly like what Street Fighter's like. So let's head more in that direction instead of what we've been doing before.
What does Minot's feature do again?
Minot, it's like she creates a bunch of orbs around her, but they don't hit when they're around her. Like whenever she hits a button, one of the orbs gets sent out. So it's sort of like Ouroboros, more than it is like Rose's V-Trigger.
Oh, sort of like Rize's satellite thing, except you can't. I assume you can't set the orbs onto the person.
Because Rize satellite is actually like Rose's thing, where it just hits you while it's spinning around. But yeah, it's literally just like Ouroboros, except you only get 6 shots. So it's like you hit a button and then she shoots out one of the orbs and they hit the guy. You can continue your combo or like go for setups and stuff. That's what makes her so strong because that allows her to do like pretty much infinite combos until the orbs run out. And she can do like very tricky setups with it. She can do like.
Isn't that just Guile's V-Trigger though?
No, it's not even close to Guile's V-Trigger.
It sounds like Kyle's V-Trigger, where you just send out the sonic booms and you can do infinite combos until it runs out.
Okay, well, except Guile's V-Trigger is literally just he just does a bunch of sonic booms over and over again until it runs out. Like hers is like you can send out an orb like at any time. It doesn't take time. She just needs to do an action, and she only has 6, and also she can like fire them from the air and stuff. Like a lot of the tricky setups you can do is you can do like instant overhead type of things where you do like jump light and then it hits as an overhead, and then you send out an orb and the orb hits them on the way, hits them down, and then you land and then combo off of that. So she has like a lot of like tricky stuff like that. Like Guile can't do that, Like Guile just fires sonic booms.
Sonic boom only goes one way.
Yeah, she can fire them from the air. She can like fire them at any time without acting. They have like different levels too. You can fire to like the up one or the medium one or the down one. The up one actually doesn't hit characters unless they're in the air, I think. So there's like a bit more nuance to it.
Oh, that's why that one orb doesn't hit Abigail. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she's very popular, so Capcom should hopefully listen for once, even though they probably won't. But it's about because like it's kind of funny because she's like probably the first thing in the entire game so far, like new thing that's been like well received. So then they should take note of that.
Was Urien not well received?
Sort of. I mean, but Urien's not new.
Yeah, but
like people just like Urien because he's Urien, but they don't like. A lot of people complain about the way he plays and what he can do and stuff.
Is he still like ridiculously good?
He's really good. But I mean, the problem with Street Fighter 5, or one of the problems, is that no one's like ridiculously good because like everyone's ridiculously good. It's one of those things where like you can get killed so easily by anyone that like you can't like it's kind of hard to be like a top tier character.
Mm-hmm.
But like Urien's like extremely good, but like if you hit him, then he's as bad as everyone else. So it's like okay.
Well, going on from there, we got more game news. Except this one's actually news for a game that is a bit actually polarizing. PAX West. Bit actually kind of polarizing between us. Well, really just for me and the other guys. It's pretty polarizing. So, big news. No More Heroes 3 Travis Strikes Back has been announced. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, that's not what it's called, by the way.
It's No More Heroes 3 though. But
But it's not.
No, yeah, it's not really.
is it
Like
not?
Suda makes a point to say
Yeah,
that it's not
yeah.
supposed to be No More Heroes 3.
Yeah,
But
like
isn't
there's
it?
kind of a lot to say about this. Like I would say we found out like a surprisingly large amount of information about the game. So I don't know. You can say whatever you want to say about it, but I've heard, like watched videos and interviews and
All right, so you
there's
go
a lot.
ahead then, Mister. It's not No
Okay.
More
Oh,
Heroes
sure.
3.
Yeah, I'm the one who said that. Not
So yeah, I mean,
Maybe Grant. I mean, no, not Grant. Johnny and Logan are just the same person. They're all Robo Johnny.
no, we just we watch the news. We watch the video game news. But
I mean, that's
I know.
enough crime, by the way.
I literally just read like a sentence in an article.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like what I'm gonna do is I will sort of run down like the facts about the game, and then you guys can kind of talk about your opinions, and I can talk about my opinions. Because there's already a lot of facts. So yeah, the facts are this: Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes is the name of the game. It is not No More Heroes 3. It is a new adventure with Travis Touchdown, as Suda has described it. And is sort of the staff is smaller than the staffs for either of the first two No More Heroes games. The game is supposed to have sort of an indie kind of inspiration for it, and indeed, you know, the plot of the game was basically 3 years after No More Heroes 2. Travis is sort of chilling in the South in a trailer, playing video games. And then there's this dude called Bad Man, who is the father of Bad Girl from No More Heroes 1. And as an aside, people were saying this like really weird thing where like Bad Girl was the only boss from the first game who did not have a backstory. So it makes sense that they put her dad in this game to give her a backstory.
Didn't she have a backstory in No More Heroes 1? Because
No, she didn't, but like she was so not the only one who didn't have a backstory. Like Harvey did not have a backstory. Let's Shake didn't really have a backstory. Had a long ass cutscene. I don't think he had a backstory. So that's not true. Destroy Man had a cutscene. He's a mailman. Is that a backstory? Like I don't. He like says things about, oh, I get customers. I get some annoying customers. Something. Is that a backstory?
Yes.
So like I'm not really sure what that statement is, but like I've heard like 2 people say that. I don't get it. Anyway, this guy Bad Man comes 7 years after his daughter's death to get revenge for her. And he wears Mankind's wrestler mask, by the way. Grant, I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, I saw he wore the mask. Is it actually confirmed that it's Mankind's mask? I
mean, it is. Like, it's not supposed to be in game, but like, it's obviously heavily inspired by Mankind, and you know, wrestling has always been a big inspiration in No Heroes games. So he comes in a car to get revenge on Travis, and him and Travis get in a fight inside Travis's trailer, and while they're fighting, they get sucked into this game, this phantom game console called the Death Drive Mark II. This is actually kind of a Let It Die reference, which Suda has already sort of confirmed, where Let It Die is actually kind of has this meta sort of edge to it, where like Let It Die itself is a video game in the game Let It Die. Like you kind of start out in this arcade and then you play the game Let It Die. And you play Let It Die on the Death Drive 128, which is like this weird game system that like projects out of a beetle or something. I don't know. But anyway, clearly the Death Drive Mark II is sort of a predecessor, as Suda has said, to this system from Let It Die. So there's, you know, the regular connections between Suda games as you would expect. It's all there. So Travis and Bad Man both get sucked into this console, and they have to play through 6 indie games. It was actually recently confirmed in an interview with Game Explain that I think was just posted today or yesterday, that apparently the collaborations with indie games that they will be doing, which they will be, Travis is playing Hotline Miami in the trailer. Suda revealed that Shovel Knight will be another collaboration. Those will apparently not be level themes, which I think is what a lot of people have been assuming. They will be aesthetic things like T-shirts, and maybe could be more substantial than that. But like when they asked him, like, will there be like Hotline Miami level? Suda was like, not really. It's not really going to be like that. Travis could have a Hotline Miami T-shirt.
Wait,
So, like,
how is he playing through indie levels?
well, I'm not really sure. But like that is the plot of the game, is that Travis is sucked into 6 different, I think they're supposed to be indie games. So I'm not sure if they're going to be original games. I'm not really sure what the deal is. But that is the plot of the game. And the other thing is that while Travis sort of fights through these games, the games are magic. The game like kind of cartridge for the Death Drive console is in ball form. And there are 6 magic indie game balls. And if you beat all 6 of them, they summon a tiger god that grants 1 wish. I don't think Suda was joking when he said this. I think this is the actual plot. You may not have known that. So that's sort of the plot of the game, is that Travis is like fighting this guy while he's trying to beat these games and get a wish granted, which will probably like to be to make his cat immortal or something. That's what I'm thinking.
Wait, why does Jean need to be immortal?
Because she's getting pretty old at this point. But
I mean, it makes sense, but sometimes Travis, you need to let things go.
yeah, that's what I would do if I was Travis. But so
Wait, what?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else for me to say about the game. Travis is back. This is the first time that Suda has actually directed a video game in a decade since the first No More Heroes. Has not never sort of been in the director's chair. He actually said in this interview that I watched today that there were some games that he worked on where he couldn't really tell what his position was, which was like, yeah, you both, buddy, on that one.
He's like, don't worry, guys. I was just as confused as you were.
Yeah. So yeah, all those games like Shadows of the Damned and even No More Heroes 2 to an extent, though I think he had a large hand in that game. And Killer is Dead, he was not directing. In this one, he is. And Travis has a purple jacket now, and he's also not voiced by the same guy he's been being voiced by, but I think I can get into that later. So it is a 3D action game, by the way. That's confirmed. Same gameplay style, even though it's a smaller staff. And it will have similar controls. Suda says you'll be able to play the game with only 1 Joy-Con, so you can do the Beam Katana recharging just like you could in the other games. Those are all the facts. So, yeah, so I'm interested to hear you guys' opinions.
Well, my opinion of it is don't worry, guys, it's not No More Heroes 3. It's a new game about Travis that plays exactly like No More Heroes.
Yeah.
And features a new story about it in the No More Heroes universe. But it's not No More Heroes.
Yeah, Suda did hint that he might make an actual No More 3 down the road. So.
I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe it's like a side story or something, but like it's still like Travis is in it.
Yeah, no, I don't really.
He's the main character.
You could definitely consider it No More Heroes 3. It's just a different No More Heroes 3.
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, the title is also very clearly rendered in the Stranger Things title font, which is a show that I don't think any of us have watched.
I haven't.
But clearly, Suda's a fan.
Wait, what's that? Level?
The title of Travis Strikes Again is like very clearly supposed to be in the font of the title of the show Stranger Things.
Oh no, I haven't seen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think like I assume it's not like he doesn't want to call it No More Heroes because it probably doesn't have to do with like Travis becoming like the top, the top assassin.
I guess.
Yeah. Like it's probably not going to be him like fighting a bunch of bosses or whatever that has to do with the organization. I assume it like at least based on what like I've seen and like the art and like the general feel of the game, I feel like it's like I don't know if I would say like No More Heroes is gonna like become like more dramatic or whatever, but it seems like it would be more of like an older Travis with like, hey, here's like a continuation to his previous story from what we got before, and that's probably why he sort of wants to distance it from No More Heroes. No More Heroes is like very like the story itself isn't juvenile, but like the themes it deals with kind of are.
There's actually a new character in this game who created the game system named Dr. Juvenile.
Okay.
It's kind of funny that you would use that word.
So yeah, I assume like I sort of feel like this game will probably like I'm not saying it'll be like serious or dramatic or whatever, but it'll just like deal with like probably like a more mature ideas or like ideas relating to more mature humans. That's sort of like a continuation to Travis's story because he seems to want to continue Travis's story rather than the No More Heroes story, as in Travis's like weird otaku geek thing, rather than let's fight a bunch of assassins thing. That's what the game will probably focus on, in my opinion. And if he was going to do like another No More Heroes game, it might involve a different protagonist or something.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
like
kind
maybe
of like
Shinobu. Well, Shinobu, just doing school stuff now.
Sure.
like before No More Heroes 2 was announced. Whenever I thought about the game, I actually did have no problem with Travis actually dying at the end of No More Heroes 1 and there being a new protagonist. I didn't mind that at all. And then after No More Heroes 2 happened, when I imagined No More Heroes 3, I always thought it would be cool to play the role of a guy who's trying to kill Travis. So I certainly would not mind a new protagonist.
Well, sure. I mean, like I said, like I assume that's probably I think that's why he wanted to distance it, because I do think No More Heroes is like a game that's like smart and like worth like a kind of like giving like respect to the story. So I don't think it's just gonna be like, oh, here's like a bunch of random shit. Travis plays video games or whatever. It's like if Suda directing it, like he did Killer 7, he did No More Heroes.
Yeah,
And
it does kind of seem based on like I would say just based on the trailer, you would definitely think this will just be a fun romp. But based on Suda himself, you would we could definitely see something more complex.
Yeah, and like the artwork and stuff, like all the promotional art they've released so far, like like it seems like it's a bit more pensive compared to the other ones, rather than just being like completely wacky. So I feel like it's definitely going to go a bit more in that direction, even if like I still think the tone of the game is going to be like very wacky and very No More Heroes. But I think like the story is going to be a little more scaled down, like a little more like mature and personal.
I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, and that's the thing is like I'm not a fan of the No More Heroes games, really, just because actually playing them was one of the most agonizing experiences ever for me. But I respect them from a writing perspective, a storytelling perspective. So, and I like Suda as a creator. So I am excited to see a new entry. It would be interesting to see like a more dramatic one. I guess.
Well, like I said, like I don't think it'll actually be dramatic. Like what I mean is that like the tone will probably be very similar. I just mean like the actual themes will be like a little bit heavier.
Yeah. And it's certainly an interesting kind of setup, though. I mean, the actual like kind of synopsis so far sounds like a pretty interesting title. It's like appropriately wacky, and hopefully it kind of generates more interesting environments than what we've seen so far in No More Heroes so far.
Yeah, I definitely think it will. Clearly, if they're going to be doing like a 6 different games thing, Suda has said that while the basic gameplay will be the same for each game, there will be other things that will change from game to game. All right, yeah, I mean, if William doesn't have anything to say about it, then I guess I'm going to start kind of giving my opinion on all this. Is that all right?
Yeah, what am I supposed to say? Wait a second.
I don't know. What do you have to say about No More Heroes?
Like about those series in general?
I don't know, or the new one. I mean, have you played the games? Because you were talking about Travis earlier, but then you seemed to think earlier that you wouldn't say much about the.
I've played both 1 and 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Where were you when we were in high school? Wait a
Oh, William, it's been a long
doesn't exist. Wait a second. Wait a second. Can't fool me like that.
Because you were just talking when we were going to start the podcast saying, like, I might not say that much about it.
Oh, no. I meant about, like, talking about, like, Travis back then, because I'm tone deaf when it comes to, like, reading text, so I can't tell if I'm making someone upset or not, but that's a tale for another time, probably not on this podcast. But the point is, one thing that's really interesting about No More Heroes to me that Grant touched on is that it has a very neat, like, sense of storytelling. Like, the character of Travis, he's not really someone I feel like you're supposed to like as like a person, but as a character. Like, he's a caricature of like otaku culture. He cares a lot about video games and his anime, but at the same time, he's still like a person. He named his cat after his ex, and she does show up in No More Heroes. I'm not going to tell you how because hey, you should figure it out yourself. But
if you've ever read, supposedly, if you've ever read the manga Miyuki, you would be able to know her backstory as she says in the game.
God, yeah, that's the thing. Like, No More Heroes is very unique in terms of how it plays out its story, and even the gameplay. Like, I kind of liked it back then because this was back when the Wii was like pretty simple as control. So you just do like swipe to hit people and such. And yeah, I fell in love with 1. 2 wasn't directed by Suda, even though it does have some Suda-y elements. Even though there's a certain level with a certain Margaret that I don't really like.
I mean, look, I generally assume that No More Heroes 2 is probably completely scripted by Suda. I think that might be confirmed because I think the script was put online.
Like, you have to suit a script, but this is the actual game. I don't know what's going on with the game. Oh, and one other thing that was cool about No More Heroes is, like, you do side jobs and work your way up into, you know, being able to fight someone. And it's like, it has a lot of, like, cool ideas going into it that I feel like where this game's going to end up being, it's just going to be an experience, and it won't be something I can just say, like, oh, this is just, you know, this is going to be, you know, you're like, No More Heroes now. It's going to be this no unique thing. Like, Sholen's in the game at some degree about know how, and I'm looking forward to that. And maybe we'll get some Hotline Miami in there, because I think Suda's team went over to the devs of Hotline Miami.
Devolver Digital.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed up in their fake E3 press conference, which I guess was probably happened around the time he had meetings with them about this game.
Yeah, it was weird because I guess they hinted at the collaboration during the fake press conference, even though they were kind of like, oh, you know, like the joke was that they weren't actually doing it, but then I guess they were. So, what else was real at that conference?
So what are we going to talk about, like, with this No More Heroes stuff?
I guess I kind of had a lot to say. Touch on some of the stuff you guys have talked about. Suda saying that he might make more, like, an actual sequel kind of throws a wrench into this statement. But, like, the main thing I was thinking when I saw this trailer was that when No More Heroes 2 came out, Suda said two different things, which were that the game was the end of Travis's story, and that he can make, like, 5 more games with Travis. Statements that seem to oppose each other. But when I saw the trailer for this one, I was like, okay, like, I get it now. He's not really continuing Travis's story. He's just kind of doing this sort of fun side story with him that's not going to continue the series. Obviously, today he said he could continue the series. But that was sort of, I understood that now. Like, I was like, okay, this is where No More Heroes is going to go. Coming with that, to me, the story and characters of No More Heroes has, like, a ton of potential. I was already kind of disappointed that No More Heroes 2 didn't go into, like, some of the past timeline stuff that they hint at in No More Heroes 1 concerning things like Travis' mentor and the character Speedbuster, which is stuff that I found, like, very interesting and would have loved to kind of see. For instance, Shinobu did not really get her due in the second game. Henry did not so much get his due in the second game either.
Henry has an anime dream, and that, you know, it was a thing.
Yeah, and then he gets to see Travis jack off, which is great.
Poor Henry.
But I remember, like, that was, like, one of the hardest I laughed. Like, the hardest I laughed in my entire life is when, like, they show that in the trailer. Just, like, knowing that Travis was a weeb already, like, just, like, that there would be, like, a scene where he's jacking off in the game was just, like, super hilarious. And, you know, I was like, okay.
Man, I just say one thing I really do appreciate about Travis, like, just, like character design, is that, you know, he may be, like, a huge weeb who wants, like, this, like, big Ezra badass assassin to get with the girl, but at the same time, he has a pet cat, and he actually cares about the cat. And then No More Heroes 2, you can help work that cat off from being really fat to skinny again.
Yeah, people,
it's like a thing.
People play those games for Jean. Pretty, like, I like, some people on Tumblr have definitely, like, been raving about Jean. Even though in the first game she does nothing, you can just look at her. Oh, she does hang from the ceiling fan sometimes, which is great. But
no, you can't, like, interact with Jean one. I forget.
No, you can't. Wait, you know, I'm pretty sure you can. You might be able to, like, pet her, but I'm pretty sure
you can use, like, the toys and such with her.
That was 2 to make her lose weight. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was 2.
That was weird. Oh wait, no, I know. I'm thinking when you interact with Jean, there are multiple things that happen. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't think you have any control over it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So yeah, I was, like, a little disappointed that, like, the No More Heroes story wouldn't continue. Like, I would like to see a genuinely older Travis. I would like to explore an older Travis. I think that would be interesting. I would like to see what Sylvia's up to. I would like to see if they're ever going to do anything with the little girl, Jean, who appears at the end of the first game, who a lot of people probably forgot about. But I don't really know if Suda's planning all that. And, you know, Suda's always interesting. Suda's always a little deep, like Johnny said. So I'm sure he'll do some interesting stuff story-wise in this game, but I'm not so sure what a continuation of No More Heroes story would be like. I'm interested to see, but that might be a while from now. So that's kind of, in terms of the story, that's there's a little disappointment there, but really, I am generally very excited for another No More Heroes. I like both of the first two games, though I do definitely think the first one is substantially better than the second one. After having somewhat recently seen playthroughs of both the games, and it's really nice to have a third one, especially one that Suda's directing. This is like kind of his main series now, and it's just so odd to me. And it's the same thing that happened with Bayonetta 2, or maybe it was when Bayonetta was announced for Smash, where it's something that I'm very excited about, and then I look around and I'm like, why are there so many other people excited for this? Like, I thought this was kind of like a sort of, kind of a cult thing. Apparently not. This was like number 12 in trending on YouTube when the trailer came out, which I think is probably pretty high up. So yeah, people like No More Heroes.
Wait, which trailer are you talking about? The No More Heroes one?
The new trailer, yes.
Okay,
So,
I'm about to say, because I'm like, when you were talking about it, I'm like, are you going to explain it like at some point what you're talking about? Because I feel like I missed the subject, and apparently said it way earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about how I was surprised to see so many strong reactions to this trailer. People are really hyped, and it's probably going to sell well. The Switch has a good install base. These indie collaborations are going to get people, and I'm going to start to play Hotline Miami now that there's going to be some content from that in the game.
It's a good Hotline Miami is a very good game. I definitely
gets
the Grant Starson seal of approval.
Yeah.
The legendary Grant Starson seal of approval, but that's so rare.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but definitely the other main thing I have to say when it comes to this game is about the voice actor Robin Atkins. I consider him my favorite voice actor. I consider Travis Touchdown to be my favorite voice acting role. But he revealed on Twitter a couple days after the trailer dropped that he would not be returning to voice Travis Touchdown. And this is an interesting situation because while the way he kind of worded it in his tweet was sort of like it was kind of on Suda that he wasn't voicing himself, a lot of people who obviously kind of sound smart because you sort of have to look stuff up in order to be in the know about this kind of thing to begin with, have been saying that it's more about the voice actor strike. That is the reason he is not voicing Travis. And I don't know what the stats on the strike is. It started a while ago. And it was just had something to do with the voice actors union and voice actors thinking they were not getting paid enough. And Robin Atkins used the hashtag Performance Matters, which is the hashtag that is associated with this strike. And I think people are just kind of extrapolating from that. But from what I've seen on GameFAQs, and I have no idea, like I said, like these people certainly sound like they know what they're talking about. Maybe they don't. What do I know? That this strike might not be like the best thing ever. According to someone said this, that apparently voice actors already are like one of the highest paid people working on a game. And that
are you sure? Because
that's what
I've always been under the assumption that voice actors here in the U.S. they're not reimbursed for their time here's if I may explain, the union does help them get like money. Like that's the thing, you kind of need to be in a union to actually get the money you need for voice acting. Because if you're not in a union, you'll probably get paid like pennies. And when you're in a union, one issue is if you try to do like you have to follow the rules of the union. So if the union says that, hey, you can't work with this like group because it's a complicated matter. I also don't know too much about because I've only been studying like voice acting this past year.
Yeah, I wish I knew
loyally.
about it.
But like from what I've been gathering so far, like when you're in union, like there are certain roles you can and can't do, and you can't do a role. You either to go under a pseudonym, like what happened like years ago with like say Metal Gear Solid, where David Hayter had to go under a pseudonym to voice Snake. It's stuff like that where it's kind of hard to actually get the money for voice acting because it's just. I just kind of like big like say Laura Bailey to the point.
Robo Johnny.
Was that Robo Johnny?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say like someone like say like Laura Bailey or Troy Baker. They have so much on their plate. They literally can't voice some characters that they either would love the voice or they just like they kind of can't reprise those roles. Or you have people like say Robin Atkins who probably won't make enough money for this Travis Strikes Back thing to actually be a part of it because of his union rules, and it's one of those unfortunate things that kind of happens, and that's just how voice acting is in the U.S. It's a pickle, and this is even going off Fire Emblem Heroes genre, where Wendy Lee, she voices, I think it was Paula, but she can't like actually have her name like put in the game. Same with Laura Bailey, as Lucina so said, to use Alexis Tipton to voice Lucina, who's doing voice for other characters in Fire Emblem, and voice acting is a thing. It is a thing. That's the short way. It's a thing, and it's hard.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, so this kind GameFAQs certainly has an opinion. He thinks he knows what he's talking about, and he's saying most VAs make over 100K a year. Out of anyone in the studio, they're the most paid behind the director. Sometimes they make more, and maybe the producer. Publishers, he's not talking about. He says publishers make more than they do, but that's like a whole different area. He says they think they should make more than the director. They want to make that sweet anime idol VA big bucks like in Japan without any of the hard work that comes with it. That is from Sneaky Snake on GameFAQs.
Are you really going to trust this Sneaky Snake guy?
I don't know. You tell me.
I have my doubts about the authenticity of that statement, just because because we know that the industry doesn't value voice actors, because they are just willing to kind of just completely change up characters' looks and their
David
voice.
Hayter, by the way, has been part of this, like a minor tweet storm supporting Robin Atkinson's. Because obviously, they have been in Metal games together. Metal Gear games. The games maybe were. I don't think discs are metal.
Wait,
so they're not Metal games.
He voiced Liquid, right?
No.
Right.
Who did he?
No.
Liquid was voiced by Cam Clark.
Wait, so who does he voice?
So Robin Atkinson voices, I think, Kaz Miller, who is like kind of a major character in the Big Boss, like Peace Walker. And
Kaz. Who's writing?
Yeah.
Who's writing again?
No, Ryan is like Quentin Flint.
Yeah.
Right.
So he voiced. Okay. Yeah. So he does voices in the games I don't give a shit about. Okay.
Yeah, and like he spawned like several memes from his performance in Metal Gear Solid 5, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
But I have my doubts. Maybe their actual pay might be good. I'm not sure because I'm not well versed in this, so obviously don't take my word for anything. But
yeah, we're just a whole bunch of people who don't really know what we're talking about.
Hey, I know something.
I mean, I've looked. I
know the most.
Yeah, I know like some stuff, but like we know that they don't treat voice actors as like an important part of the team. So I have my doubts about the actual amount that they pay these people. It could be that they're not making enough money for the amount of time they have to put in it. Or any number of things. It could be a credit issue. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked too much at the strike, but I mean.
And if I may say about the anime idol industry, the reason why Japan pays these people so well because when you voice a character in Japan, you're like that character. Like you kind of can't escape that character, and you do drama scenes, you radio shows, and all that. And it's you gotta.
Yeah, you literally can't. You literally can't escape those characters. Otherwise, your fans will threaten to kill you, and they might do it. So.
Yeah.
So.
Cautionary tale.
Whatever the situation is, it kind of leaves like a kind of a bad taste in my mouth to just think that like, it kind of could have been more on Robin Atkinson's end, where like he's kind of the one who pulled out of this, as opposed to Suda not wanting him. But like. Given the nature of strikes, that's not to say that it's his fault. It's just a pretty bad situation, whatever the situation is. And I hope they can get him. I hope they still have time. I think they still have
hope
time.
Voice acting becomes a lot of a better thing in the U.S. is the main thing, because that's been a problem for a long time now.
Like, it's strange to me that Suda would be even okay with switching voice actors. Like, you would think, considering that the No More Heroes games don't even have Japanese dubs. Bayonetta eventually got one. Didn't at first. Those games did not at first have dubs. Then they got them. No More Heroes, as far as I know, has still not got any Japanese dub. So you'd think Suda would kind of care about the voice actors. But we don't know what the situation is. For whatever reason, Travis has been recast with someone who does a pretty good impression, I would say, of Robin Atkinson's. You can tell that it's not him, but like he's not the worst. He clearly did his research. So that's kind of the biggest downer in terms of this. The game being a quote unquote spin-off, I'm pretty okay with, and I am generally looking forward to it. It's crazy that there is a No More Heroes 3 happening after 10 years. No More Heroes came out in 2007. And I'm hype, even with despite everything else. I look forward to seeing actual gameplay footage. That's all I have to say.
Well, in any case, we hope for the best, and Suda is certainly good at delivering interesting things. So we'll probably
actually
get something interesting.
Yeah, have a bit of a good segue, if you don't mind, into the next one.
No problem.
So I mentioned one last thing, but if you want to use that segue, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to mention with the Shovel Knight thing, I just remembered. Hey, there's these new Shovel Knight amiibo. With King Knight, and Plague Knight, and Spectre Knight.
Yeah, who'd have thought there would now be 4
Yeah, it's all to the tune of, Ego Raptor, pretending amiibos are actually perfume, so I was like, hey.
Yeah. They've got like a
crazy, No More Heroes.
Like a crazy amiibo display room in the Game Grumps headquarters. Actually, that is something to mention. There's probably, I would assume, definitely going to be a Travis amiibo now. And there's a strong possibility, if they make a Smash Bros. For Switch, that Travis could definitely be in. Suda has mentioned in like multiple interviews about this game that he still wants Travis to be in Smash. So the next topic is kind of like what it is like on the surface is not something I think any of us are too interested in. But it's about someone who we generally like, and it's actually someone who has worked pretty closely with Suda on the game Lollipop Chainsaw, which he wrote the script for. And then we're talking about James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, who has...
He came a long way, because I hate Lollipop Chainsaw with, like, all my heart. Guardians of the Galaxy, I love with all my heart. So
I know, like, almost nothing about Lollipop Chainsaw.
I played it. It's bad.
I played, like, 10 minutes of it, and I fucking hated it.
I beat the game. It's bad. I can't believe I believe in this dumb game.
Anyway, James Gunn posted something on Facebook, which is like kind of funny because it's like the post is evocative of his post where he announced that he was doing Guardians 3, except this is something that like doesn't carry nearly as much like emotional weight. Where he announced that he is doing a new Starsky and Hutch show at Amazon. And he's
God!
Yeah, he is writing the show with his 2 other brothers, not the one that's in. Not the acting brother, Sean Gunn. He's writing it with Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn. I don't know how many brothers this guy has, but he's writing it with them. And the reason it kind of interested me is, not just because it's what James Gunn is doing next, and I think James Gunn is worth looking at now. It's
Starsky and Hutch, that's why. And I'm already hyped. I want this.
Not necessarily. I mean, do you like Starsky and Hutch?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I haven't seen the original show. The movie is fine. James Gunn says he doesn't really want it to be like the movie.
Don't be like the movie.
But this is the thing that interested me is he's talking about that he wants to. It is a continuation of the original series that will deconstruct the buddy cop show in a fun way. So it sounds pretty interesting. I have no idea what
this is going to be great.
Plans are for this, but
this is either going to be a Lollipop Chainsaw again, where we're going to like love it at first, and then like slowly all my optimism will go away, or it's something that will just impress me. Like I need to forget all my knowledge of Starsky and Hutch, like Guardians of the Galaxy, so I could just take it all in. Yeah. That's the only way.
So this is James Gunn's first TV project, and it sounds creative. So I just hope it's good. It's going to be at Amazon. So yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I don't have an Amazon account, so I need to get one.
I feel like if I watched it, since he's saying it's a continuation, I might want to at least try watching the original show.
William, have you seen the original show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
How
Me
long
and my dad we've watched it together.
How
long is it?
Hold up.
Because that would be like, because it's been a while since I touched since I touched Miami Vice, but I do like what I've seen of the original Miami Vice show, so I could add that. I could add Starsky and Hutch to my list of like old, like kind of buddy cop shows.
And that noise sounded like you were like trying to imitate the soundtrack of those shows.
Right.
And
Yeah,
no,
it's
if I
Night
was-
Rider all over again.
No, if I was trying to do that, it'd be I've been something feeling the air of the night.
By the way, 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
Like, I wasn't sure it was 4 or like a different number, but yeah, it's 4.
But all right. No other
Like-
thoughts on Starsky and Hutch returns?
You know, all I know about Starsky and Hutch is the movie with friggin' Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. Which you know,
You know what's gonna happen?
But
James Gunn seemed somewhat offended by
Yeah.
that movie.
did
so
you
that-
know the director of that movie now directing that standalone Joker movie? So we kind of look forward to that.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna shoot DC in the face.
I
Those
thought
two will compete.
I thought I recalled you liking the Starsky and Hutch movie though, Johnny.
Yeah, I never said I didn't like it.
Was that where you got like "Do It" from?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, do it.
do it.
How could
Do
you
it.
forget that?
All right.
Oh my God.
Listen, that
Class.
movie had memes at least.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, I'm a somewhat of a fan of Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, like Zoolander. That was a good movie.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Zoolander. Zoolander is like one of the best comedy movies ever made.
And Zoolander 2.
No,
Let's not talk about Zoolander 2.
Have you seen Zoolander 2?
Logan, I'm gonna kick out this podcast. I swear to God.
No, I mean, I haven't seen it.
Don't watch Zoolander 2.
Good.
Don't
see it. There you go.
don't do it.
But it's Zoo 2.
Don't do it.
Never landed.
All right. But
Alright.
on to something I think we all have a bit more of an opinion on. I know that last week we talked about trying to trade off talking about this series every
Yeah,
other week, but the kind of guy, a bit of news that kind of needs to be talked about. Breaking news, Disney has officially released confirmation that Star Wars Episode 8 will be a bad movie. They officially confirmed it. They released an announcement. I don't know, just ask Disney. They released an announcement. They're like, guys, we're just letting you know now. We have enough money. So we're going to tell you, because we're good people, it's going to fucking suck. Don't see it.
I wish Capcom
Don't
would
see
do
it.
that with their games. God,
Yeah.
thanks
But-
Disney.
But Disney is they're creative bunch, so they did it in a very creative way, in that they
Whoa.
released a screenshot, a likely fake screenshot actually, of Chewbacca in a cockpit with a Furby. And this was released, and they're like, it's real, but a lot of us more wily viewers take this. Yeah, it's fake, but this is their code for the movie sucks. So but yeah, and then a little bit later we found out no, it's an actual screenshot. There is something called a Porg in the new movies, and
Well, apparently a lot of them, in fact.
yeah, a lot of them. If you thought the Ewoks were bad, this thing literally just looks like a really terrible CGI Furby. And like,
Grant, I have a question.
yeah,
You know how I didn't get this actually watch any Star Wars before Episode 7?
yeah.
Why is Disney trying to go oh, we have this one person who watched all the Star Wars now. Let's systematically make it so he regrets ever watching Star Wars.
I don't know.
Is that the plan?
Not one person. It's everyone. They want to make everyone regret watching Star Wars.
Yeah,
But
like,
then we'll go watch Marvel movies.
and like,
right?
Oh God, the plan.
I know to an extent that some people might consider this overreacting, that are kind of being like, oh, Jesus Christ, to this screenshot. But one, to kind of show how bad it is, literally everybody I've shown this to at work and in personal time and everything, their reaction upon seeing the screenshot is, this isn't real, is it? Because it doesn't look real.
Yeah, that's the thing. Star Wars is supposed to be, a space opera that, is extending the universe, could do things on space opera. We had a discussion before, and now Star Wars is hey, space operas, let's not do that anymore. Let's have these dumb, generic, cute things. Yeah.
And it looks it just looks ridiculous because it doesn't look like it's actually there. Chewbacca looks completely different from this thing. It looks like Roger Rabbit or something. It might as well.
I also like how there's already a ton of merchandise for it.
Yeah,
They literally just made it to sell stuff.
But like that's what's weird is like they announced that these existed like just like this week, right?
Yeah.
And then
No.
they
There's already what?
No, sorry. The screenshot has been around for like a couple months, actually.
Oh, it has. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, in any case,
yeah, it probably
like,
kind of went under your radar just because it was just a screenshot, and like I think like they didn't really talk
Well,
about.
I mean, we should at least realize that the movie is also not out yet. So, but there's like a ton of merchandise for this one.
Yeah, I mean, they just had Force Friday, which is like the day every year when they release all the merchandise for the new Star Wars movie. Before the movie comes out, and it's in September, and it's always like a very big event for like collectors. Like I know my Target that I work at actually stayed open late, like after midnight, to cater to these like people who come in and buy these toys right when they come out.
Oh yeah, there's a book. There's a book already written about these things.
Well, it's a children's book.
Okay.
well, but yeah, so I guess it's not. So I guess it isn't as breaking news as I said. Disney's given us a few months, of confirmation that the movie's gonna be bad. But yeah, it's very disappointing. If it was literally just like a screen, because there's another screenshot of them that's like still bad, but like it wouldn't be like oh Jesus kind of screenshot where it was just like them. I think because they were showing them like. I think they might use some miniatures for this or something. Like they seem to be using some practical effects for the Porgs. I saw like a shot of them like kind of with a statue of one like on like a rock or something. And like that would be something like just having them be like some sort of stupid species that they're gonna try to sell toys for, because I mean Captain Phasma was that for Awakens. I mean that wasn't a species, but like it was something that didn't do anything in the film. But like that screenshot with it in the thing with Chewbacca is like is this gonna be a major force? Like is this the new Ewoks where they have like a major point in the overall thing, and like they look way worse than Ewoks did, because like Ewoks were just teddy bears. But, like, at least, like, they still kind of look like they could be warriors a bit,
Yeah.
Like, they got, like, sticks and stuff. Like, what are these things going to do?
So,
are they going to...
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a couple answers to that. Yeah, that's definitely the big question for me is, like, how much are these things going to be in the movie? Because, like, obviously I tend to have a lot of forgiveness for like, these movies.
They call you a Disney Star Wars apologist.
So yeah, like if they're not in it that much, I probably won't mind. Apparently, they are the native species to the planet that Luke lives on now, which is kind of funny. Like someone should edit the end of Episode 7 to have like them just kind of hopping around while all that dramatic stuff is going on.
Oh, they'll be like Edikins from Metroid.
Yeah, which are those like the ones that teach you stuff?
Yeah, Edikins and Mrs. Datura, I think Edikins teach you space jump, and Datura teaches you how to shine spark.
Yeah, those guys are cool. They're cool.
Not space jump, wall jump. But yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like if they're just kind of hop around on the island and like probably have some like one or two kind of funny little interactions with Chewbacca, I probably won't mind them. The thing that annoyed me a little more, which you can also see in this article we're looking at, it's kind of a merchandise list, is the freaking evil BB-8. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there is like legitimately he's just an evil BB-8 from the dark side. And that's like seems like a bit much. Like what are we just gonna have these two doing like a freaking Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote thing in this movie now?
Yes.
And I hope that doesn't happen. However, Supreme Leader Snoke does have what appears to be a gold bathrobe now, which is kind of nice.
Okay.
I'm glad that he's comfortable in this movie. That's all I want.
These all sound like things I enjoy, and that I want to be in the movie.
So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I still look forward to the movie. It's got a good director. And we'll see how
I'm looking forward to BB-8 like pretending to be evil because he's gonna be a spy and have his own movie spinoff where he there's like a new Death Star, right? So BB-8 needs to pretend that he's a part of like the what was the army again? Like the Imperialists or whatever.
The First Order.
At the First Order, he's gonna pretend like he's like their robot. So he needs to do a sneaky mission to destroy the Death Star. It'll be called one rogue.
One rogue.
Star Wars
Just one
story.
rogue.
Yeah, a Star Wars story.
Hmm.
There you go, Disney. Here's my script. What do you think?
Oh, you know, this is getting into actual Star Wars news, so I don't really like. I feel bad that I remember this, but the Han Solo movie just like keeps getting more insane. Like they freaking surprisingly for a Star Wars movie, they actually had two well actually, it's not that surprising because they just did the same thing they did in Force Awakens because they had two black actors, which is like, hey, that's an improvement. But then they put one of them behind like CG and had him playing like a CG alien, which is what they did with Lupita Nyong'o, who admittedly played a character that I liked in Force Awakens. So they had this guy Michael K. Williams, who was like a really well liked actor um, in this Han Solo movie, playing like a CG alien. And apparently, for whatever reason, now that they switched the directors, I think they had to do reshoots, and his schedule wasn't right for the reshoots, so they just completely removed his character from the movie, and they're replacing him with a human because they can't CG a whole new character. That'd be ridiculous. So they said, okay, this alien, he's gone. He's just a human now. He's being played by Paul Bettany. It's going to be the same character with the same name. So, like, yeesh. Like, is this a whole new movie now with these reshoots? Like, Justice League and this are just, like, the weirdest productions. Like, it's so funny because, like, we make all these jokes about how weird Hollywood is. And we made all these jokes, like, before either of these movies were as ridiculous as they are. And now it's like Hollywood is just trying its hardest to be as weird as it possibly can be.
I figured it out. You see, Michael K. Williams was in the new Ghostbusters, right?
Oh, was
So
it?
this is like we don't want to associate ourselves with that new Ghostbusters. Let's replace the guy with a different guy. Yeah, that's politics.
Yeah, it's especially kind of funny that they took the black guy and replaced him with like one of the like most kind of like pasty, like I think he's like practically got white hair, Paul Bettany, like just kind of the most like pasty white actor you could think of. I do like Paul Bettany, but I don't know. Han Solo, baby.
I mean, it's because these movies suck, so they gotta keep remaking them in order to try to make them into something good, I guess. But
Yeah, but
watchable.
usually the
So-
remaking element is what makes them suck more.
Yeah, I know, but like that's like they don't know that, I guess, or I guess they don't really care. Like I don't even know like why they're reshooting like this, like why they couldn't
Like,
just finish.
Just show whatever. Just show whatever
Yeah.
footage you have.
Like yeah,
It'll be-
you
At this
might as
point,
well.
what I'm thinking is since they have Paul Bettany, this is gonna somehow cross over with Marvel because
Yeah, that'd be cool.
this is gonna be like Jarvis as a main character, and he
Vision.
took a break from hanging out with Iron Man, and somehow we're gonna get like Avengers 4
in space.
Yes, in space.
Well, I mean, you guys know that Avengers 4 will in all likelihood be in space, so
Well, there you go.
See, there you go.
You figured it out.
we did it. Yeah, I don't know if you
I
did.
can't
You have
believe
any,
Han Solo is gonna be a Guardian of the Galaxy.
did we have anything else to say about them porgs?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
well,
not talking about Porgs anymore.
Johnny, you had your whole thing that was confusing Logan about how this is gonna be the Empire, but not really.
Oh my god. That was like a very, very simple joke.
I got that eventually. I think like the reason I didn't get it, was because I don't know, like it's just one of those things where you said it and it was on the internet, so it was like hard to tell that it was like I don't know, like because because I was thinking like obviously the one it's comparable to is Return of the Jedi because they're like Ewoks. So that's why it just kind of confused me that said, oh, now you can tell this is going to be like the Empire of the new trilogy. But I was like, wait, Return had the Ewoks. So like I wasn't even thinking about the like obviously what you're saying is that Empire is the best and this one's not going to be good because I was just confused about the Ewoks. That was basically it.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah,
Very long explanation.
Yeah, I know. I had to like go on that I had to lawyer up on that joke that no one listening heard you make.
But yeah, I think that should be it, I guess, for the Porgs, the Porg menace.
Yeah.
The Borg.
They should add the Borgs. That would
Yeah,
that would
that
be freaking. That would be kind of cool.
is that like if they finally reveal that Star Trek and Star Wars actually took place in the same universe?
I mean, like these Porg things kind of look like the random little things, like the giblets or whatever.
Tribbles.
Yeah, those.
The what?
The Tribbles.
Like the
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the problem with tribbles or whatever. Yeah, that was a good episode actually. I like that episode. But yeah, so our last item on the menu today is I don't even know if we can call this news. I mean, we kind of knew this was gonna happen. This is like the schedule. This is like reporting on a bus schedule. Hunt.
This is the bus schedule.
I mean, it pretty much is because we can pretty much expect that this is going to happen. In any case, Hunter x Hunter is going on another hiatus. Yeah, I'm assuming, do we have reports that a new Dragon Quest came out recently?
I mean, well, yes, we do have reports that Dragon Quest 11 came out like July.
No, yeah, it did. Actually.
Yeah, okay,
Just came out.
so there you go. I mean, that's why it's not news. Like, when Dragon Quest 11 came out, we should have just reported, oh, and Hunter x Hunter has also been announced to go on hiatus. On the same time. Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't catch up with Hunter x Hunter because my whole logic is I don't feel like waiting for these hiatuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of also why I don't read part 8 of JoJo as quickly as I normally would because I don't really want to catch up. Especially since, certain mangas I feel work better when you're able to read them.
I mean,
quicker.
honestly, I think almost most manga work better that way because I feel like there are some manga that where like the author doesn't really know what they're going to do from week to week. But there are some manga where like even if the author doesn't specifically know what they're going to do, you can tell that on like the macro level and on the arc, the whole story of an entire arc, that they do know what they're going to do. And you can tell that in a lot of manga where like it works much better when you can kind of see the entire tapestry of the story and go like, oh, so this is why it's paced slowly at this point because it was building up to this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say like a lot of manga work better when you do read them in bulk.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I haven't really caught up with Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I liked Yu Hakusho a lot, even though I keep forgetting the name of the mangaka. What the hell is his name again? Toshiro Tagashi.
Yoshihiro Togashi.
Toshio Dagashi.
He's not too sure from Bleach.
Toshiro Dagashi.
Yoshihiro.
The Tommy Galaxy.
Tamagotchi.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Yoshihiro Togashi.
Taikubo.
That's the
I wonder what is he up to nowadays?
He's biding his time.
Isn't he like in the hospital or something?
I don't know. I shouldn't laugh at that. I'm not going to.
Okay, you just did. So
shut up. I'm laughing at my refusal to not laugh at.
So I'm such a funny guy.
All right. I'm sure. Is he okay? I don't know.
Well, I mean, like the whole deal was that supposedly Bleach kind of ended and was like really bad for a long time because he was like overworked as a mangaka. So he's like, it's like one of those where he's like, okay, now I gotta like take a break or whatever. Like he's probably not. I don't think he's like in any serious danger. He's just like typical manga stuff.
Is he just like it's like you just see him like he's writing the chapter of Bleach like really quickly. And then, like, he goes up to his editor's desk and he slams it on there. And he just, like, he points his finger up and then he just falls backwards.
Yeah.
The author of Zatch Bell broke his hand when he slammed it on an editor's desk too hard. So
why did he do that?
He wished it because they were arguing.
Was he mad about how bad Animal Land did?
I don't think he could have done that before Animal Land was ever a thing. But that would have been an interesting conversation about this future manga. Anyway. But
I'm a fan of Yu Yu Hakusho at least. I mean, I liked what I've read of Hunter x Hunter. Overall, still like Yu Yu Hakusho more.
I mean, what I have to say about it is that I feel like Hunter x Hunter is a stronger manga. Like I feel like the anime adaptation, while very good, somewhat loses some of the strength of the manga. While Yu Yu Hakusho is a better anime, because the anime adaptation actually adds a lot of stuff that make the anime like feel very unique and interesting that the manga doesn't really have. Like if you're just comparing the manga, I do think Hunter x Hunter is better. Like Yu Yu Hakusho feels like a bit more like basic compared to Hunter x Hunter. But the Yu Yu Hakusho anime, like a lot of the animation and voice acting, like is a lot of what makes that anime.
Yeah.
And writing. So.
But yeah, this is for those who aren't really in the know though. Hunter x Hunter hiatuses are pretty common. What's like because I know Berserk has really common hiatuses, right? Or did it just go on one really long hiatus?
I don't know.
I think it's like chapters are published like every once in a while, but it's like it's not necessarily like a hiatus. Well, I mean, sort of is, but it's more just like the guy just publishes chapters like whenever he wants, and whenever he wants to. Like he'll just be like, okay, here's a new chapter.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of funny because I also relatively recently started trying to seriously follow Berserk. Catch up on it, I guess. But I'm going by, what mangas I buy. I don't really want to read that on, I want to support it. I like what I've read, a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of gotten lucky with most of my manga choices where pretty much they're done or they don't really go on the hiatuses. I haven't really had that experience of, the long stretch of nothing coming out for my manga yet. And I don't really want that experience. So that's why I don't really catch that much up on Hunter x Hunter. And it's also really why I don't want to watch the anime that much because they didn't actually finish it. They started it over. They made an entirely new show with the intention of finishing Hunter x Hunter. And they didn't finish Hunter x Hunter. So like
they got to a point where like I think it's supposed to be it's sort of like a good stopping point,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. But yeah. Anything else anyone has to say about it?
Yeah. Well, I guess me and William are the guys who actually have been reading Hunter x Hunter weekly. We're completely caught up. Johnny, you kind of tried to actually buy the manga. So I
didn't try. I did it. I bought it.
Well, yeah. So you're not completely caught up, but I
didn't go to the store and then pick it up and then just be like, oh crap, what do I do now?
Okay.
I forgot how to buy manga. I just picked this up.
Yeah, you actually haven't read all the volumes you have, which is weird. But
yeah, well, that is weird. I'm surprised. I've owned these volumes for several years and haven't read them yet.
Yeah, I mean it's like how I have Okami and I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, you should play that.
How can I play Okami?
He should read Hunter x Hunter.
No, Logan, listen. Stop! Get out of this call right now and play Okami.
Yeah, okay. I think Okami's like a bit more of a pressing matter than reading a couple volumes on Okami. But either way, I mean, I do plan on reading them at some point, obviously. But yeah, I followed like where the manga's at, or like the English manga. So I'm not like super caught up. But I'm in there. I'm in the Chimera Ant arc. Stuff's happening.
Yeah, I like that arc. It's a good one.
Yeah.
One time I asked Logan to figure out my favorite character, and he's just been naming characters all over the Chimera Ant arc. I'm sitting here going, no, it was the main character the whole time. Logan, come back. You've been doing this process for years. Come back. Not years, months.
Was it Leoria?
Okay, that's it. We're done. No, we're not going back through this. Jesus.
Anyway, yeah. So me and you are caught up, so we kind of know what's been going on. Hunter x Hunter, I guess the normal going rate is he does a volume a year. This time he has actually promised to come back before the end of the year, which he might not. Like, we'll see. But he has said that he is going to. So we hope he does.
I promise, guys, I can manage to get my Dragon Quest runs down to about 20 hours, so don't worry.
Yeah, I definitely can't.
Yeah, like we actually
the guy's a speedrunner.
We never got to talk about this when the manga first resumed publication. I kept saying we should talk about Hunter x Hunter, but eventually the weeks went on, and I was like, all right, we'll talk about it when it stops. So that's what we're doing. So I just want to say, like the current arc of Hunter x Hunter has honestly been, maybe the most unique arc I've ever read in a shonen.
Why are we talking about this when two or Casimers aren't caught up?
Well, because I can talk about it vaguely.
I guess you could do that.
I want to give my thoughts because it's something that we haven't gotten to talk about here yet. Where Hunter x Hunter is obviously already a very unique manga. But this arc is something special, even compared to the other arcs of Hunter x Hunter. And the fact that Togashi is so committed to keeping the intended pacing that, you know, basically the same pacing it would have if he was doing it just week to week to week to week, even with all these hiatuses, is like very admirable in its way. That like even if he does eventually just decide to rush it, we will have these very, you know, these several different arcs that are all different and unique in their own ways, that are all, you know, done correctly. You wouldn't even be able to tell that they had these long hiatuses in between. So in that respect, it's very cool. And this new arc, like once again, I can't say much about it, but it's got about like 80 billion characters, and it's just like really unique. Like if you've been reading it, you know, that there is just a bunch of text and everywhere, and there's a bunch of characters everywhere, and there's like a bunch of kind of mini twists and turns, and
It'd make watching it as an anime would be very, very interesting because
yes, it would.
with Death Note, the manga has lots of words, but in the anime, they had a director be like, "Hey, let's always drama, let's make it dramatic, actual dramatic." I'm like, "Whoa, it's good."
And like you know, and like you read like these 10 chapters have only taken place in the space of like maybe less than 24 hours. And that's just like the kind of thing Tagashi does. He's very cool. You know, we're focusing on different characters now than we were in like the last arcs. And in this manga, like I hope he gets back. I hope he finishes it, I guess. And I hope he finishes it the way he wants to. And if I have to wait through 80 hiatuses to do that, that might be okay. Because like the longer it goes on, you know, essentially the better Hunter x Hunter becomes, because like every arc, you know, sort of has its own standard quality. Like say what you will about like the Greed Island arc, like I'm not too big a fan of it, but it's unique in its own way. And he continues to try different things. So like, you know, every arc and every chapter only makes that tapestry more complex. So like Hunter x Hunter is already a great manga. It's one of my favorites. Even though like I remember right when I finished Hunter x Hunter, we like got into an argument about whether it was better than One Piece. So like you might not realize that it is one of my favorite mangas.
I mean, I do think Hunter x Hunter is probably like the best shonen manga overall, out of the ones I've read at least. Just like most of the good ones.
Yeah, and it's only going to be better in my eyes the more it continues. It has no signs.
Remember that one time you explained how there's green shonen and orange shonen and logos?
What the hell was
flip
that?
the fuck out about
that. Like, what is that? Like, why did you write a book?
Like, wait, do I need to go into this whole thing? Because this is like a whole thing. Like,
yeah, maybe not. Maybe.
I guess I can like summarize it. You know, like
summarize your.
Yeah, you can summarize it. It's not that hard.
Summarize your Tang shonen and your grass shonen.
What was the first one? Oh, Tang.
Tang.
Was that like Evangelion?
I don't know. Tang is an actual thing.
I know. Oh my god. Okay, look.
Oh my god.
You know, we're talking about anime here, but the point is that, you know, this is just something I've noticed. It's obviously, you know, by no means like anything set in stone, or like a real like thing. It's just more like trends that seem to occur in like shonen series, where and obviously there's more than this. Honestly, like there'll be like sports and like romance and stuff, and those are like sort of separate. But in general, I've noticed that most shonen manga tend to fall into like what I call orange and green segments, where like you know, you have like the orange series where it'll be like stuff like Dragon Ball and One Piece and Naruto and like Bleach and things like that. And there's usually series about like characters going on adventures and like becoming stronger, and it's more about like doing your best and like you know, they're sort of like the more like heroic, like let's go and like help people and be nice and be, you know, friends and all that type of series, where they're like kind of dumber and they're more just like action and do stuff. But then we have like the green series, which are, you know, more like Yu Hakusho or My Hero Academia or JoJo or whatever, and Hunter x Hunter, obviously, where like the protagonists tend to have like a green color to them, and those series tend to be like a bit more like cerebral. I mean, obviously not super cerebral usually because it's a freaking shonen series, but like in general, it's more, there are series that tend to focus more on like character motivations and like the reason why characters are doing what they're doing, rather than like, oh, we need to stop the bad guy. It's more like there's a lot of just like, not necessarily like good versus evil. There's a lot of just like I'm against your ideals or whatever, and it becomes more you know, I find those series to be more interesting, and usually they're better. Like, you know, like Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, I think, are respectively my favorite shonen anime and shonen manga, and they very much fit this style. And they kind of tend to break the mold of like standard shonen, but they do tend to be less popular as well.
Wait, so do you consider JoJo to be shonen?
Well, JoJo obviously shown. Well, JoJo's parts 1 through 6 is shown. Like that's you can't.
So you'd still consider Hunter x Hunter to be better?
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely than parts 1 through 6. I think part 7 might be better than Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I would put part 7 like above Hunter x Hunter in terms of like my favorite manga, but parts 1 through 6, yeah. But like I said, I do also consider JoJo to be like in the green category, where it's like a bit more like interesting compared to the orange stuff, where the orange stuff tends to be like really basic, kind of like predictable, like let's just fight the bad guy type of series.
Orange is usually about the physical action, and green is most about the mental action.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's like a good way to like sum it up.
If Johnny ever writes like a little think piece on this, we will link that somewhere.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. I was planning to do that, but I just like forget and then I do other stuff. But I'll probably do that at some point. So watch out.
Watch out.
Green versus orange manga.
But I mean, there's also other ones like that. Obviously, doesn't encompass all of like the whole thing. Because like for example, like Fullmetal Alchemist, like I wouldn't place that. Well, no. Well, okay. like I wouldn't place Fullmetal Alchemist in like either category. Like that's like something else.
You place it in the freaking women author category.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't do that.
That you sexist.
No, I mean, I'm just saying it has like a different tone compared to most other shonen type series, and like a different like kind of goal.
The orange and green bracket, while Fullmetal Alchemist fits like all the anime fits more on the green side of things than the manga, which is like very, very orange.
More of a orange kind of color.
Yeah.
Well, no, look, I'm saying neither one fits into either. Obviously, the anime doesn't because it's like a seinen.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I didn't finish my thought. Is that we need another color to represent what Fullmetal Alchemist is doing with itself.
Yeah, and then there's stuff like like whatever, like what's that series called? I don't know, or like Prince of Tennis, like sports and like romance stuff. Like they don't fit into this category either.
Honestly, you can fit at least Ice Shield 21 being more orange. But then sports are kind of like their own thing that we need to talk about later.
I mean, like most sports series would probably be like fit into the quote unquote orange category, but like not entirely because they're not like about battling and they're not about beating the bad guy and they're not about like usually about self improvement, but like not in the same way. So
they're also usually more like they're more based around like character development as well too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. They're more like like a lot of them like sports series are more like about self improvement in like a character sense rather than like I learned a new ability. So the sports is definitely like a different category there. But I'm talking about like in terms of battle series, orange and green I think is like a pretty prevalent theme. And you can even see that like if you look at series, almost every main character is either colored like their primary color is either orange or green, like 90% of the time.
Where are the blue boys? They don't exist apparently.
Well, blue people are often in the green category. Like freaking like Jonathan is like blue, but he's like on the green side. But also then you go Joseph, he's green, and Jotaro's blue again. So I suppose you could call it like hot and cold series. It just
actually because I just realized Luffy's red and One Piece is orange.
In the manga, Zatch is actually green, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, that manga you would not consider that a green manga.
Well, I mean,
Zatch Bell's very orange.
I don't know enough about Zatch Bell to say, but also, I mean, Zatch Bell might even be in its own category. Like, I'm not sure, but
really,
also like Animal Land doesn't fit and like that at all, right? It doesn't fit green or orange.
Yeah, it's its own.
Animal Land is brown for shit.
All right, no, half of it's.
You can't just say that.
I feel like this idea applies almost exclusively to Shonen Jump manga. I feel like once you branch off of that, like you get like a sort of a different tone.
I mean, not with Fullmetal Alchemist. The manga's like clearly an orange manga.
I can't read I don't think Fullmetal Alchemist is orange at all.
I think there's an argument.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, it's not as smart as the anime, but it doesn't make it orange. It's not like retarded. like it's not like Fullmetal Alchemist is like Ed is like, man, we gotta beat this guy's ass the whole time. You gotta get super strong and just beat everybody's ass. Like what the hell? Never happened.
There is a pretty physical beating at the end of SMA.
Okay, I mean, but that's like a thing that happened. That's not like the goal. Sure. It's not like freaking Ed and Al are like we gotta learn the Kamehameha.
Yeah, they're not like need to fuck him up.
No, it's
break his kneecaps.
Yeah, it's the end of FMA as they go to Father's house and then they beat him up, Jay and Silent Bob style.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, Father, yo, did you start and shit? And then they just take a baseball bat and they beat him.
Sure. Like I mean, it's sort of weird because like I wouldn't call the series particularly cerebral. Like I mean, like it has to do with the character motivations, but it doesn't really like explore them. It's just like they're doing it. But then it also isn't about them improving themselves or like or, like fighting a lot. It's just sort of like a story.
It's I guess that's kind of probably has to do with why it was so popular in the West, is because it was just kind of this serial sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which is a little like how Attack on Titan is, a little bit.
Sure. I mean, like if I had to like denote a color to those, I'd probably just use black, just because that seems to be like a major color in a lot of these series. But that again, these don't really apply to the main theory I was talking about, because that's mostly like a Shonen Jump thing.
Okay, now you can take her out, Grant.
But yeah, after that bit of an insane conversation about
listen, this is an important conversation that everyone should know about.
Trust me, if you could see the chalkboard behind me right now, then you know it's real.
There's no chalkboard. That's a lie. That's actually your dinner.
What? Did I write stuff?
Yeah, you just flip your table up, and then now
Like that's no chalkboard. That's a dinner.
I need you to see my theories.
But yeah, so but very interesting stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to that. So you got a little bit into the minds of your hosts here. We're pretty crazy.
I mean, a host of Johnny. Well, I got to sit and be adorable.
Yeah, there you go.
You're the Porg. William's the Porg of our podcast.
But yeah, that was Logan. Wow, what a thing to end on, Logan.
What? Thanks, he's adorable.
You ruined this entire episode.